I was unpacking boxes in my brand new apartment when my phone rang. My sister Kaylee, calling on FaceTime with that excited energy that usually meant she wanted something. I answered, balancing my phone against a stack of books while I continued organizing my kitchen. "Oh my God, I'm so excited," she squealed before I could even say hello. "Mom and Dad just told me the best news. I can't believe you didn't tell me yourself, but whatever, I forgive you." I paused, a coffee mug halfway to the cabinet. "What are you talking about?" "About me moving in with you. Next week. Mom said you have that extra bedroom, and it's perfect timing because my lease is up and I've been so stressed about finding a new place. This is going to be amazing. We can be roommates. Just like when we were kids." The mug slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. I stared at my phone screen, at my sister's beaming face, trying to process what she'd just said. "Kaylee, what exactly did Mom tell you? That you have a 2-bedroom apartment and the second room is empty and I can move in. She said you'd be happy to help me out since rent is so expensive right now. I'm already packing. I have so many ideas for how to decorate my room. Oh, and don't worry, I'll totally help with groceries and stuff. This is perfect. My apartment. My apartment that I'd spent 2 years saving for. The apartment I just moved into 3 days ago. The apartment with my name, and only my name, on the lease. The apartment that represented my independence, my hard work, my escape from the chaos of family drama. And my mother had just given it away to my sister without asking me. Kaylee, stop packing. You're not moving in." Her smile faltered. "What?" "But Mom said." "I don't care what Mom said. This is my apartment. I pay the rent. My name is on the lease. And I never agreed to have a roommate. Mom had no right to tell you that you could live here. But the second bedroom is empty. Why would you need 2 bedrooms if you're not going to use both of them? That's so wasteful, Sarah. And I really need a place. My roommate is moving out, and I can't afford the rent by myself. Then find a different apartment. Or a different roommate. But you're not moving into mine. You're being really selfish right now." Her voice had shifted from excited to petulant. "Mom said you'd help me. She promised. Mom doesn't get to make promises about my apartment. I'm calling her right now. You're being unreasonable." She hung up on me. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and broken ceramic, my hands shaking with rage. The second bedroom wasn't empty because I was wasting space. It was my office, my creative space, my sanctuary. I'd specifically chosen a 2-bedroom apartment so I'd have room to work from home, to pursue my freelance graphic design without being cramped at the kitchen table. But more than that, I'd chosen it because it was mine. After years of sharing everything, sharing a room with Kaylee growing up, sharing resources, sharing attention, always being expected to accommodate her needs before my own, I finally had something that was just for me. And my mother had decided, without consulting me, that I should give that up. My phone rang again. "Mom." I let it ring twice before answering, using those seconds to force myself to stay calm. "Sarah Marie, what is this your sister is telling me? That you won't let her move in? After we discussed this?" "We never discussed anything, Mom. You decided something and told Kaylee without asking me first." "I didn't think I needed to ask," Mom said, her tone suggesting I was being ridiculous. "You have the space. Kaylee needs a place to live. It's obvious that you'd help your sister. That's what family does." I sat down on my new couch, the couch I'd saved for months to buy, and tried to keep my voice level. "Mom, this is my first place by myself. I worked really hard to afford this. I specifically got a 2-bedroom, so I could have an office for my freelance work. That room isn't empty. It has a purpose. Your freelance work? Sarah, you have a full-time job. That's just a hobby. Kaylee needs actual housing. Your little side project can wait." My little side project. The freelance work that brought in an extra $1,000 a month. The work that had helped me save for this apartment. The work that was building toward eventually going full-time self-employed. Reduced to a little side project. It's not a hobby, Mom. And even if it was, it's my apartment. I get to decide what I do with the rooms. I already told Kaylee she could move in. She's counting on this. She's already given notice to her current roommate. What is she supposed to do now? That's not my problem. You should have asked me before making promises you can't keep. Can't keep? Sarah, you can keep this promise. You just won't. There's a difference. You're choosing to be selfish instead of helping your sister when she's in need. There it was. The word that had followed me my entire life. Selfish. Anytime I wanted something for myself, anytime I set a boundary, anytime I prioritized my own needs, I was selfish. You know what, Mom? Maybe I am being selfish. Maybe wanting to live alone in the apartment I pay for is selfish. But it's my apartment, my money, and my choice. And my choice is no. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. Add it to the list, I said and hung up. I sat there for a moment, phone in hand, waiting for the guilt to hit. The guilt that usually made me cave, made me apologize, made me do what they wanted just to keep the peace. But this time, something was different. This time, I just felt angry. Angry that they thought they could make decisions about my life without consulting me. Angry that my sister felt entitled to my space. Angry that setting a boundary made me the villain. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad. Your mother is very upset. Please reconsider. Kaylee is family. I typed back. So am I. But apparently my feelings don't matter as much as Kaylee's convenience. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally. We'll discuss this at Sunday dinner. Sunday dinner. The family tribunal where my choices would be picked apart, where I'd be outvoted 3-1, where I'd be pressured to change my mind for the good of the family. I texted back. I won't be at Sunday dinner. I have plans. It was a lie. My only plan was to stay in my apartment, in my space, and enjoy the peace I'd worked so hard to create. But they didn't need to know that. Another text came through, this time from Kaylee. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I thought you cared about me. I guess I was wrong. Thanks for nothing. Then, because the universe has a sense of humor, a message in the family group chat from Mom. Everyone, we need to have a family meeting this Sunday. Sarah has made a decision that affects us all, and we need to discuss it together. I muted the group chat and put my phone face down on the coffee table. Then I went back to unpacking my kitchen, my hands still shaking but my resolve firm. This was my apartment, my space, my life, and for once, I wasn't going to let them guilt me into giving it away. The rest of the week was a masterclass in family manipulation. It started with the text messages. Aunt Linda, who I barely spoke to, suddenly reaching out. Sarah, honey, I heard about the situation with Kaylee. You know, when I was your age, I always made sure to help my siblings. That's what family is all about. Then my cousin Matt. Dude, just let her move in. It's not that big a deal. Why cause family drama over a spare room? Even my grandmother got involved. Sweetheart, I'm sure you didn't mean to hurt your sister's feelings. She's been crying to your mother all week. Please reconsider. Each message felt like a brick being added to a wall of guilt, trying to box me in, force me back into the role of the accommodating daughter who never caused problems. But I didn't respond. I just kept unpacking, kept setting up my apartment, kept building my life. Wednesday evening, Mom showed up unannounced. I heard the knock and looked through the peephole to see her standing there with a casserole dish. The peace offering approach. I almost didn't open the door. Sarah, I brought dinner. Can we talk? Please. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Mom, if you're here to convince me to let Kaylee move in, you're wasting your time. I'm here because I'm your mother and I'm concerned about you. Can I at least come in and see your new place? Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, looking around at my half-furnished apartment with the critical eye she'd always had. I could see her cataloging everything, the furniture choices, the paint colors, the layout. It's very minimal, she said finally. I just moved in. I'm still decorating. She set the casserole on my kitchen counter and turned to face me. Sarah, I want to understand. Help me understand why you're being so resistant to this. It's just temporary. A few months until Kaylee finds her own place. A few months of Kaylee has a way of becoming a few years. Remember when she moved back home, just for the summer after college? She stayed for 3 years. That was different. She was trying to save money. And I'm trying to have my own space. For the first time in my life. Mom sighed, leaning against my counter. You've always been the responsible one, Sarah. The one we could count on. The one who helps out when the family needs it. I don't understand why you're choosing now to be difficult. I'm not being difficult. I'm being an adult with boundaries. There's a difference. Boundaries. She said the word like it was something distasteful. That's what your generation calls it when you don't want to help your family. In my day, we called it selfishness. Then I guess I'm selfish. But Mom, this isn't about not helping Kaylee. If she needed money for a security deposit, I'd help. If she needed help moving, I'd be there. But she doesn't need help. She needs someone to rescue her from the consequences of her own poor planning. And I'm not going to sacrifice my living situation to do that. She's your sister. She would do it for you. Would she though? Because when I was looking for a roommate last year, she said she couldn't possibly live with me because she needed her own space. But now that it's convenient for her, suddenly we should be roommates. Mom's face tightened. That's not fair. She's in a different situation now. So am I. I'm in a situation where I'm living alone by choice, and I'd like to keep it that way. Your father and I raised you better than this. You raised me to have self-respect and to work hard for what I want. That's exactly what I'm doing. Saturday morning, I woke up to find Kaylee sitting in the hallway outside my apartment door, surrounded by 3 suitcases and several cardboard boxes. What are you doing here? I asked, coffee-less and confused. I gave up my apartment, she said, her eyes red from crying. My roommate moved out yesterday, and I couldn't afford it alone. I told the landlord I was leaving. Mom said you'd come around, that you just needed time to think about it. So here I am. I stared at her, at the boxes, at the manipulation laid out so clearly in front of me. Kaylee, I told you no. Multiple times. Why would you give up your apartment without having another place secured? Because family is supposed to be my secured place. You have a spare room, Sarah. Why are you being so cruel? I have an office, not a spare room. And you giving up your apartment without my permission doesn't change my answer. It just means you made a really bad decision. So what am I supposed to do? Sleep on the street? You can go back to mom and dad's house. Or you can call one of your friends. Or you can find a new roommate situation. But you're not moving in here. She started crying harder. I can't believe you. My own sister. All I needed was a little help, and you couldn't even give me that. People were starting to come out of their apartments, watching the drama unfold in the hallway. I felt my face burning with embarrassment, but I held my ground. Kaylee, creating a crisis and then blaming me for it isn't going to work. I said no. That's a complete sentence. Mom said, Mom doesn't live here. My voice echoed down the hallway. Mom doesn't pay my rent. Mom isn't on my lease. Mom has no say in who lives in my apartment. And neither do you. I went back inside and closed the door. Through it, I could hear Kaylee calling our mother, her voice loud and theatrical. She's really not going to let me in. I'm sitting in the hallway with all my stuff, and she doesn't even care. I turned up my music and continued organizing my office. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded. The family group chat was on fire. Mom had posted a message. Your sister is homeless because of your selfishness. I hope you're proud of yourself. Photos appeared. Kaylee in the hallway, looking pitiful and abandoned. Her boxes stacked around her. Screenshots of text messages where I'd said no, which were being presented as evidence of my cruelty. My phone started ringing. Dad, then Aunt Linda, then my grandmother. I turned it to silent and put it in a drawer. An hour later, there was banging on my door. Dad's voice. Sarah, open this door right now. We need to talk about this. I didn't answer. I just sat on my couch in my apartment, in the space I'd created for myself, and refused to engage. Eventually, the noise outside stopped. I looked through the peephole and saw that Kaylee and her boxes were gone. I checked the family group chat. Mom had posted, Fine, Kaylee will stay with us. But this isn't over, Sarah. We will discuss this as a family. I left the group chat. Then I blocked my parents' numbers for 24 hours. Just 24 hours of peace to process everything. And in that silence, I realized something. I wasn't the one who should feel guilty. They were the ones who'd tried to give away something that wasn't theirs to give. They were the ones who'd created this situation. And they were the ones who needed to learn that I wasn't their doormat anymore. A week passed. A week of blessed silence, because I'd kept my parents' numbers blocked. I went to work, came home to my apartment, worked on my freelance projects in my office, and enjoyed the peace I'd fought so hard to keep. On Friday evening, there was a knock at my door. I checked the peephole expecting to see my mother or sister, but instead, it was Dad. Just Dad alone looking tired. I opened the door. Hi, Dad. Can I come in? I promise I'm not here to yell or guilt trip. I just want to talk. Really talk. I let him in. He looked around the apartment with an expression I couldn't quite read. Not critical like Mom had been. Just observant. This is nice, sweetheart. Really nice. You've done well for yourself. Thanks. He sat on my couch, and I sat in the chair across from him. We were quiet for a moment before he spoke. I owe you an apology. Your mother and we were wrong. We made a decision about your space without asking you. And then when you said no, we tried to bully you into changing your mind instead of respecting your boundary. I wasn't sure I'd heard him correctly. You're apologizing? I'm apologizing. What we did was wrong. Kaylee showing up here with her stuff, your mother posting those things in the group chat, all of us calling you selfish. It was wrong. We treated you like you didn't have the right to make decisions about your own life. Tears sprang to my eyes unexpectedly. I thought I was going crazy. Everyone kept telling me I was being unreasonable and selfish, and I started to wonder if maybe they were right. They weren't. You weren't. You set a boundary and we trampled all over it because we're used to you being the flexible one, the one who accommodates, the one who sacrifices. But that's not fair to you. What changed? Why are you here saying this now? Dad smiled sadly. Your Aunt Carol. She's your mother's sister. You know how they are together. But Carol pulled me aside at the store yesterday and asked what was going on with you. When I told her, she looked at me like I'd lost my mind. She said, "You're upset because your adult daughter won't let someone move into the apartment she pays for? Are you hearing yourself?" And it clicked. We've been completely out of line. What about Mom? And Kaylee? Your mother is still angry, but she'll come around. She knows she was wrong even if she's not ready to admit it yet. As for Kaylee, she found a new roommate situation. Moved in 3 days ago. Turns out she had options all along. She just wanted the free rent that living with you would have provided. I laughed bitterly. Of course she did. I'm not here to ask you to forgive us right away. I know we hurt you. I'm just here to say I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you for standing your ground. It took guts to say no to all of us. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. That's how you know it was important. He stood up, giving my apartment one more look. This place really is great. And that office you mentioned? Can I see it? I showed him my office. My desk positioned by the window, my design equipment, my mood boards on the walls. He looked at everything with genuine interest. This is impressive, Sarah. Really impressive. This isn't a hobby. This is a career you're building. I'm sorry we dismissed it. After Dad left, I sat in my office and looked around at the space I'd protected. The space that was mine. And I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks, pride. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. By the way, your mother deleted those posts from the group chat and apologized to the family for creating drama. It's a start. Another text came through, this time from Kaylee. I guess you were right. I do always assume people will just fix my problems for me. I'm working on it. And I'm sorry for showing up with all my stuff. That was manipulative, and I knew it when I did it. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was something. An acknowledgement. A crack in the pattern that had defined our family for so long. I didn't respond to Kaylee's text immediately. Maybe I would later, maybe I wouldn't. But right now, I was going to sit in my apartment, in my office, in the space I'd created and defended, and enjoy the peace I'd earned. 3 months later, things were different. Mom and I had lunch occasionally, though there was a new distance between us. A healthy distance, I was starting to realize. Dad texted regularly, sending me funny articles and asking about my freelance work. Kaylee and I were cordial, but not close. She'd learned I had boundaries and couldn't be manipulated anymore. But the best part was coming home every day to my apartment. My space. My sanctuary. The place that was entirely mine because I'd had the courage to keep it that way. I'd learned something important. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you self-respecting. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for your family, is to teach them that you have limits, that you matter, that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. My apartment had 2 bedrooms. One was my bedroom, the other was my office. And that's exactly how it should be.